All right, now we're going to talk about day 3. Here I am on my CY curriculum map. Clicking on day 3 should take me to the lesson plan. Again, the checklist and then the lesson plan tutorial, which is what I'm working on right now. So if we open up the slide deck for Accelerated 3, again, 3 minutes, get them into their bell ringer. They're looking at this quote by Vincent van Gogh. When you have an opportunity, remind them that this is our 3rd and final day of CY1 Accelerated. Focus on the grad value of loving. Notice and let them know that we didn't do religious, community justice, or developing as leader, because those are things that they'll do later in their CY career. Read it and then get into it. They're going to pray this Arupe prayer. Go ahead and pick a norm, maybe a 3rd norm that they haven't chosen yet. Go over the quote. We're going to review CY and in symbolism, specifically because we learned about the crest last class. Do an exercise in constellation desolation, and they're going to create their own crest. So we'll talk about this quote for a little bit. It doesn't have to be too long. Talk about what are the symbols of the faith crest and how they show up everywhere, like Rupert Hart's doors or our actual when they get their diploma, their diploma holder has it. There's AMDGs everywhere in IHS, the Loyola L and the crest in the gym, AMDG on the back of jerseys, on the side of football pants. Got the L and AMDG in the paw, also on football, freshman football, AMDG on socks, L on the captain's jersey. And I love the lacrosse helmet because it's got AMDG and also a picture of Loyola Hall in its architectural form. If you want to add more images, by all means, go for it. But let's ask them, what about these images? What do they notice? Hopefully they notice this IHS. They notice the faith crest or shield. The family colors are here. Hopefully they figure out that this is Ignatius of Loyola. He's dressed like a soldier. If you need additional help, just remind them, okay, like, what do you notice? What's his stature? What's his emotion? What do you think he's thinking? That type of thing. Then what do you notice about this one? Hopefully they see that there's this small halo. There's a cross. He's just sort of like a priest, probably journaling or reflecting. Bible, we see AMDG, which is something they should see a lot of. And then what do we notice about these two pictures when they're juxtaposed? Well, they're the same guy. They're both Ignatius, and we believe that this is his journey to authenticity. That's not to say that he wasn't where he was supposed to be when he was a soldier. But the thing is that we start to see him grow into who he was meant to become over time. And it went from the soldier image to the saint. And so we're going to watch this video. If you're online, make sure you turn on sound and video optimization. Watch it. It's cute. It's funny. And as they're watching, they should be in their CY1 planners. And they should be taking notes where it says the olive. And what we're really looking for is, how did Loyola journey towards authenticity? So we watched the video, then in a think, pair, share, they kind of did the think. So just go into the pair moment. How do they think St. Ignatius should work toward authenticity? And then share. I would just make sure that you kind of hit the main points. He isolated himself in a cave. So he gave himself time to reflect and engage in spiritual exercises. He humbled himself to have to be in like a kindergarten class to learn another language. He surrounded himself with like-minded people like Peter Faber, Francis Xavier. So we want to kind of hit the bullet points that are in the lesson plan about St. Ignatius and how he became more authentic, but it's all interlaid in the video. And in this video, which was not even created by Loyola High School, but was created by a Jesuit institution, we want to talk about this call. And it's a call that as students of a Jesuit school, they're called to authenticity, and that they're critical thinkers, they're socially responsible, and that they're developing their personhood. And that it's not just what you do, but it's kind of how you are. It's a state of being. And this is what the expectation is. And that's why we have those norms. That's why we have these grad values, is because we're ultimately calling you to these 3 important things. So knowing that that can feel like a lot, in that same planner under the olive, they're going to do a contemplatives in action reflection. Reflection is really typical of Loyola. And we're going to learn about 2 words, desolation and consolation. Maybe first ask what they think desolation is. When something's desolate, it's usually empty and isolated. It doesn't have a lot in there. So it's usually when we turn in on ourselves. It cuts us off from one another. That's that isolation. Sometimes it makes us want to give up important things, and it drains us. That's desolation. So we want to name 3 anxieties or stressors that they might still have about school. They're going to write that down. They're not going to share it with anybody. This is for them. And we want to think about consolation, that with desolation, there's always, those are the shadow sides. There's also the light. So what does it mean to console someone? Usually it's to make them feel better. And so it allows us to focus outside of ourselves, beyond ourselves, helps us lift our hearts. It bonds us more closely as a community and helps us release new energy. So consolation is the light of our shadow, right? And so thinking about these 3 fears, anxieties, or stressors that we have, who do we need to go to, and how are we going to go to seek help for those things? Have them write that down. And then just reminding them that you got into Loyola for a reason. Yes, it'll have moments of stress. Yes, it will have moments of desolation. That's definitely, but if you remember who you are and that you are equipped to handle these things, and that you have a community that is there to console you, that the sky is the limit, right? And so in that same vein, we believe that this exercise of consolation and desolation is a really important tool, that we wanted to come out with something that can remind you of this conversation that we're having. And that's to remember who you are, and that you are in the principal stages of telling your story. So when they're in their notebooks, their CY notebooks, they can go to that page 32 and they can kind of jot things down, but you're going to say in the spirit, and they're going to put their initials and symbols that represent their talents and treasures. So have them jot down. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just said that. Jot down their talents, treasures, and intangibles, or just draw little drawings. Then they're going to put their 6-word memoir for the heart in the lower right third. And also just make sure that here it can either write it down, or if they have it ready to go, they can plop it into the digital form. And then daily practice is this idea of habits. We talked about habits with Will Durant the very first day of CY class. What are some habits that are going to help them with their practice? And I would say in their planners, they're the 7 habits of the highly effective student. That would be a great place for them to go. And then go over yours. So my nickname is KCP. It's what my friends call me affectionately. I've got these symbols that represent who I am as a person. My intellect, my empathy, and my openness to growth are 3 of the things that I bring to this school. Have my 6-word memoir, which is my heart, my community, and the things that I need to do in order to be an effective human on this campus is I need to work on my own self-care, because I have a tendency to put others' needs ahead of my own. I want to build better relationships, more meaningful relationships. And then finally, everything in its own time. I have to take things in stride, and I have to remind myself of that. Show them some student examples so that they can see it can be done in many different ways. And then give them 20 minutes to work on it on their own. Take a bio break a little bit longer. I'll fix that. But then they're going to go in, and 2 other agenda items for the day. They're going to learn about Austin Hatch's story. I'm going to write mottos. So first, ask them what a motto is. It's a saying, a refrain. It's something to live by. They're going to watch this amazing story of Austin Hatch. They're going to write down in their CY planners on page 33, what are the mottos of Austin's life, and how do these mottos help him persevere and manage his cannonball moment. And they should at this point know what a cannonball moment is because of the St. Ignatius Olive video. Then we're going to ask them what Loyola's motto, if they haven't figured out. It's right here. It's AMDG. And it means Ad Majorem Dei Gloriam, which in English is for the greater glory of God. So we want you to think about what could possibly be your CY1 motto. And there's a bunch of quotes in your CY planner that you could choose from to help build. But ultimately, we really want you to come up with your own. This is what CY Kabir's motto is. And you can see CY1 is about commitment. This is my motto, or technically it's Doug Brown's motto. And then this is what it looks like when it's fully created, your crest and the motto and the scroll below. Give them 10 minutes to finish all of that up and put it together. They should submit it, and then they can work on their CY1 course evaluation. Once our computer lids, are all the way down, watch the You Are Loyola video, tell them congratulations, you did it. And though your summer session accelerated is finished, there's much to come, which is Kira Day. We have these days where you have video games, different athletic activities, cultural foods, opportunities to play, and then orientation, which is the 14th and the 16th. Let them know their first day of school is the 17th. They've got that, again, bell schedule to help them sort of figure out where they're going. And then that following, for the freshmen, October 7th and 8th is going to be their frost retreat. Have that marked on their calendars. They should also consider looking at their first Kira Day, which is at the end of September. And that's it. That's CY1. Just make sure at this point that you have done their internal grade book. Just some little notes that you've noticed. It might be hard with 3 days, and that's okay. But just do what you can. Thank you.